Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining today's webinar. This is Chris Morrison. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Tradestone Software. We're excited to have Leslie Hand from IDC join us today to talk about how an Omni mentality changes product sourcing and development. Leslie provides over 25 years of experience in retail information technology. She is the lead analyst for IDC Retail Insights Supply Chain, Sourcing, and Product Lifecycle Management Strategy. We're thrilled to have Leslie speaking with us today. Just some logistics for the webinar. The audio is muted. A recorded copy of the presentation will also be available, and you'll be able to find that at www.tradestonesoftware.com under the webinars section. And with that, we'll get right into it, and I'll turn it over to Leslie. Welcome, Leslie.
Thanks, Chris. It's great to be here, and hello, everybody. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to listen to this webcast. Thanks to Tradestone for inviting me. I hope that today you can take away at least three messages, and that is, one, why you should care about the impact of an Omni mentality on sourcing and development. Secondly, how an Omni mentality can lead to making better decisions. And then thirdly, how radical and comprehensive internal and external collaboration will improve your brand value and your overall performance. So if we can get those messages across, I think we've started our day pretty well. So let's just jump right into it. But I did want to at least establish a baseline for the discussion since we're talking about Omni mentality. IDC Retail Insights actually coined the term omnichannel 5 years ago in our predictions 5 years ago. Just did our 2014 predictions earlier this week. But essentially, what we're saying, what we're predicting for the next 5 years in omnichannel retail is that there's going to continue to be this drive towards, synchronizing your brands into a more cohesive, dynamic, and customer responsive and service-oriented business. And what happens then is, as companies are growing, or the path to growth really is in developing better relationships, better reciprocity, and doing more relevant messaging to your consumer base. And that requires greater levels of localization, contextualization, and personalization. And it impacts all of these customer interactions, but it also changes product flow and placement. It elevates the importance of supply chain responsiveness and agility. And in order to have resiliency in this supply chain, you need to be able to adapt and respond and even have planned alternative strategies. So for instance, if you introduce a product to all A stores and discover that in some A stores the product's unsuccessful, or maybe it's just one location where it's just not working out the way that you had hoped, you need to be able to leverage all the information you have about what consumers are saying, what your store associates are saying, to shift that inventory, replace it with something that that particular audience is going to be more responsive to, but then also take all that you learn from that exercise and internalize it, incorporate it in your next cycle of product development, so that you can iterate faster and more frequently on product designs and plans. You're going to need to know a lot more about what the attributes of success are in different stores, in different regions and markets. You're going to need to know, everything from those broadest customer behaviors that you can kind of cluster, but then also to the details, the things that only good platforms and computing systems can offer, and that is, understanding what the cost structures are to ensure profitability in different markets. So this is kind of the background for the rest of the discussion today. And in our predictions earlier this week, there were several predictions that spoke about the importance of supply chain. We think supply chain is going to get higher levels of investment over the next several years, and these are three of the predictions that we talked about. A fourth is 25% of mid-sized retailers will initiate new PLM and sourcing projects in 2014. That's significant because that's a much higher percentage than you would see in an average year, where average investment increases year to year. You might think follow along the lines of inflation, right? So you might expect 3 to 4% increases year to year. So this is quite significant. And why is it changing? Well, or why is there such a focus? It's because the way we go to market has changed. Our customers have changed. We always wanted to design and manufacture products that people love, they embrace, that they're easy to sell. We can sell them at a price that people value, and of course we're going to always reach our targeted profit metrics. But what's changed is just how important it is to reflect how much you respect your consumer in every interaction, right? And so that means you respect their time by engaging them with relevant interactions. You make reciprocal interactions. I mentioned that before, where you demonstrate that you're listening, and you invite them to engage, and then you respond with styles that reflect what they've said, right? You reflect what they've said they want at the price points that honor that kind of relationship and that expectation that you've set. But it's also about combining that right value with differentiated product sets and your unique identity. As consumers, particularly the millennials, the younger generations, clearly have unique ideas of who they are and the companies, the brands, the products they want to align themselves with in order to best display their own uniqueness, right? So companies are going to have to really relentlessly pursue differentiation, identify and grow passionate customers and employees. At the same time, they're relentlessly pursuing operating efficiencies and collaborating better to push these programs forward. And, like I said, top challenges for retailers have changed over the years because, the way we want to grow challenges the path to growth. So now when we want to redefine how we grow our brands, we have to talk about growing loyalty, one customer at a time, right? And not all brands, when we go to new markets, have the same kind of cachet that luxury brands do, where their identity precedes them. And it takes a lot more work and a lot more localization and personalization to develop the brands that work. For some, it's going to be simply about aligning product assortments with local markets, dealing with complexity, that localization and customization aspect. For others, costing is going to be a huge component, as the product value that you ultimately provide has to meet market expectations. So the product needs to be built to be both profitable at a market-appropriate price point, and those costs need to be accounted for at various levels. You have to know your materials costs, your labor costs, your shipping costs, and all of that needs to be embedded into the metrics that help you to define what's going to be successful where. You might also need to consider facility capacity and market risks. And related to this is factory compliance. And of course, this is top of mind for everyone, particularly this year with the Bangladesh accident earlier this year. But compliance isn't just about factory compliance. There's a lot of things we have to pay attention to: regulatory policies, free and preferred trade areas, transfer pricing, local tax rates, tax policy complexity. And all of this requires a good level of supplier transparency and collaboration. And collaboration is about improving the economics and the efficiencies by which products are brought to market. So, what happens when the whole brain's optimized for merging data, creativity, and abstract ideas? And here we're assuming that, the systems, the IT, the data, the analysis that we can do enables us to have a higher level of creativity, or have more time and apply a higher level of creativity. Well, I thought I'd present one example, and you all know this example. This is about the Apple iPod when it was introduced. When Steve Jobs first presented it internally at a town hall meeting to his internal staff, these were his exact words. He was giving them clues to what was coming. And he said, what it is not as important as what it represents. It's a tool for the heart. When you can touch someone's heart, that is limitless. If I do say so myself, it's really cool. It's a music player. It's 1,000 songs in your pocket. I'd like to introduce you to the iPod. There were practically tears in people's eyes as he did this, right? As kind of this culmination of creativity and technical genius and, developing a product that nobody had even imagined before, right? Nevertheless, bring to market. But I wanted to introduce this because it's not just about that creative spark. It's not just about having real good information and inspiration. It's also about having a really strong supply chain. And Apple is a company that has a really strong supply chain. So for them, they're combining innovation, creativity with supply chain excellence, and that's the reason I wanted to present that. So let's move on to how you leverage technology to make better decisions. And here, if you think about an Omni mentality and apply it to optimizing and coordinating design and sourcing all the way through to production and quality management, you're enabling processes that release that creativity and take advantage of technology so that you can be more effective. And if you think about it, retailers really have access to a ton of information on customers and shopping patterns. They have increasing access to social sources of information. Their customers tell them directly what they think. And customers increasingly expect that companies are listening, brands, retailers are listening, and that they're going to use that information to both improve their products, the way they deliver them, the way they support them. And so if you think about what we used to see as siloed areas of expertise within the organization, all of this needs to collapse so that data can be shared across the business and across continents. We can share things like documents, product performance history, images, colorways, cost, expected profit, so that teams across boundaries have access to this kind of information. We can take the tools that we're applying across the business, things like social listening and analytics, mobile inspiration capture, where you take a picture of something that inspires your next product line, or is a sample of something you want to follow up on next season, where we can store this information and make it available. And then vendor collaboration across design and sampling and ordering and production and invoicing and payment processing. All of this collaboration really invites teams to work together to understand the impacts of one decision over another, and also just to have ready access to all of this information that in the end enables you to be more effective and more efficient. So, this slide I think is really pretty self-explanatory. What we're talking about here really is, and we've been talking about enabling collaboration that's both internal and external. But what companies are also prioritizing is, how do I look at my vendors that support manufacturing of my products to both spread risks, right, by diversifying my supply base, but then also gain control over it by measuring and holding companies accountable to performance metrics, to the compliance, in compliance to product design and specs and that sort of thing. But at the same time, I'm gaining control and I want to rationalize the suppliers I work with based on performance. So that's really important. And then if I think about transparency, the customer expects transparency from me, the consumer does. So why shouldn't every business, right? If we're working together instead of in silos, logic just says that you're going to be more efficient and effective. And in fact, more trustworthy and more worthy of continuing business, to do business with. And just to review, an Omni mentality enables organizations to collapse those silos and create an integrated process from concept to shelf. And one of the very important things that needs to happen in order for this to work is you need to have support from the absolute top of your organization, right? This has to be a top-down driven effort. It's unlikely that somebody that does tech specs all day long is going to be able to push this sort of initiative forward. You need to get approval from higher up in the organization, because this really is so important. It's all about protecting and promoting your brand so that it can survive the current retail environment. There's a lot of pressures, and our predictions talked a lot about the pressures on retail businesses these days to compete in much different ways than they had to before. And the underlying platforms that enable this are going to be critical to your success. And in fact, doing what you've always done just plain old isn't good enough. So we say step away from your comfort zone. Don't think that just because you've been successful, you've been relatively successful doing the things you do on a daily basis the same way is going to continue to drive you into success for the next half dozen or so years. So let's move on to how efficient and effective collaboration returns ongoing value. Hopefully you like this image. It may be a little odd. What I'm trying to say with this graphic is that early visibility informs better and more profitable decisions, and that there are really new definitions of who's involved in each step of the process. I talked a little bit about creativity and social networking earlier, and what I was trying to allude to was, there are experts and what I call cultural synthesizers that come from all sorts of avenues. They may be in stores, they may be buyers, they may be in merchandising, they may be in your supply chain, they may be one of your manufacturing partners who just has a really good pulse of what's going on in the industry and who can help make your decisions more productive, meaning more profitable. So that said, generally when we think about product development, we're thinking about starting with a funnel of a lot of ideas, and those ideas funnel into just a few of the products that we initially produce. With the advent of social listening and analytics, we may actually be able to have a broader set of initial ideas, but apply more analysis. We may even produce more at first, but then Zara style be able to trim down the number of products that we take to a broader market more quickly by testing and learning. There's a lot of integration here in gathering intelligence and then being more responsive to market demand. There's huge implications on our supply chains, and a lot of retailers can't even imagine really iterating in this fashion and inviting and involving more folks in the process as if it weren't complicated enough and their jobs weren't hard enough, right? But the point is here, if you can offload some of the decision processes to technology, all of that stuff about the data and what's been successful, instead of looking at the microcosm of the little world around you, you're looking at data that aggregates a much broader view of what's going on. So you can learn to kind of cut your losses earlier and improve your profits by paying better attention to the details without having to do all the work of paying attention to the details. So in any case, ultimately the benefits of applying an Omni mentality in product sourcing and development are, creating this team, right, that has this win-win-win attitude. So regardless of who my influences are, who I involve in the processes across functional areas of the business, who's involved from the supplier perspective, we're all on the same page. We have visibility to our objectives. We have visibility to work in process. We know what our calendar looks like, and we can work through all of the details together. And ultimately, that rewards us with more successful and profitable products, and that's good for everybody. We're able to respond faster to consumer needs and better manage supply all the way back to the materials, right? So that we're making, optimizing, doing the most with the materials at hand, the products at hand, to sell through at the highest margin possible. And all of this, back to the Steve Jobs story, is all about leveraging right and left brain for best product development and sourcing results. You know, product line flexibility and faster cycles, again, don't always seem like they fit within a lot of retailers' current product development processes, but we really have to do this in this day and age as new retailers are coming to market in mature markets, people like, you know, H&M and Uniqlo and Zara and others, you know, taking big market share and coming to market with just this kind of business model that iterates quickly and you know, gets the consumers' eyeballs. But in any case, so you see the benefits here. I want to emphasize the benefits around you know, cycle time reductions, but also the benefits in product cost reductions. And you'll see related to that that if you can apply your processes to multi-brands and even take a really hard look at your business model for how you do manufacturing, what companies you source product from. If you take a really hard look at that, we believe that you can really drive your product costs down by as much as 15%, while improving product quality. Really important metrics from a consumer point of view because they benefit by having lower costs and greater value. So in summary, I'll state it very simply. If you haven't looked at product development and sourcing as a part of your omni-channel strategies, we think it's really time to act now. And if you follow up and, you know, also take a look at our predictions for this year, I think you'll see that message reiterated across the supply chain, from an omni-channel, you know, supply chain planning, assortment planning, all the way through to product development and sourcing. So thank you very much for listening today. I'm going to turn the mic back over to Chris, who's going to go through some slides about TradeStone.
Great, thanks, Leslie. Great presentation, and as always, we appreciate your insights into the market. It's certainly a very exciting time in retail. Just a bit about TradeStone before we wrap up. Our focus really is helping companies design and deliver great products to an omni-market world. And to kind of echo a lot of the things that Leslie has said as well, the way that we define omni-market is really being able to deliver to any market anywhere in the world. So if you want to actually go to the next slide, Leslie, we'll kind of walk through this. We've seen over the past 18 months the incredible investment in omni-channel, which is really the ability to provide a seamless consumer experience. Many of our customers have invested heavily there and have obviously seen great results. However, as Leslie pointed out, they're now investing in the supply chain to assure delivery capabilities. And our conversations are shifting with our customers as the dust starts to settle on omni-channel. The conversation now is focusing on how to deliver the margin promise of omni-channel. The shift is beginning towards omni-market thinking, and that's really, again, the ability to deliver a market-specific product line anywhere in the world profitably while mitigating risk. And there's some game-changing conversations and initiatives going on. First of all, being able to cost products now by market and by channel to truly optimize the local market supply chain in global expansion. Being able to mine thousands of supplier profiles to determine the best fit for a specific market at the right time for the right product category. Being able to roll up material commitments even before placing orders across all channels to maximize buying power and leveraging those cost economies. Being able to postpone production to respond to market trends. Being able to wait, in essence, to the last minute to determine color, material, and sizing choices to be able to tie to the trend within local markets. And being able to virtualize assortments to be able to visually collaborate with business partners anywhere in the world. For example, as many of our customers have started to expand into franchises, being able to offer a visual way for their local franchise partners in individual markets to be able to tailor their assortment and then to be able to buy online in an e-commerce type of fashion to support their local business. In our view, omni-channel is becoming table stakes within retail. We think that that's going to be a cost of doing business. And we believe the next wave of technology investment will really focus back on the supply chain with what we're calling omni-market. And we believe that we have the most comprehensive and agile solution to address omni-market. Looking at our overall total solution offering, our Bamboo Rose Marketplace supports what we call the shopping experience. And whether that's shopping for product inspirations or product showrooms, having your franchise partners evaluate your product line, we'll provide a collaborative experience to help support the retail shopping experience, retail shopping process. Our TradeStone platform then supports the execution process from design to delivery, speeding up cycle times and reducing manual efforts. We help our customers mitigate risk through supplier compliance and quality assurance. We support growth efforts, either organic or via business partners, through our international sales management capabilities. And our customers have been able to see dramatic reductions in cycle time of up to 80%, as well as margin improvements from 5 to 15% in the areas that they're using TradeStone. We believe we're sitting at one of the most exciting times in retailing and are thrilled to be able to support many of the world's leading and most innovative retailers. And with that, I think we'll transition to our last slide. We thank everyone for their time this morning. We certainly would appreciate any questions or any comments that you have, and the way to do that is to just submit them to marketing@tradestonesoftware.com. We promise we'll get back to you in terms of responses, and we certainly appreciate you joining today and wish you all a great day and holiday season. Thank you very much, and thank you again, Leslie.
Thank you.